Okay, so today, getting down to business, accountability. Now, I'm really blessed because for the last 2.5 years, I have had an amazing accountability buddy, Wendy, that I get together with. I want to say weekly, but there's life happens, okay? Sometimes it's every 2 weeks. Sometimes it might be that we take 3 weeks off or a month off. But she has consistently been there for me as an accountability buddy and kept me on track and growing. Now, typically what happens is we get together and we just chat about what we said we were committed to doing last week, and what did we actually do. Okay. But what's amazing for me is that when we're having these conversations, even though she's a coach and I'm a coach, and there are times when we do actually coach each other during these sessions, most of the times these sessions are just a conversation. And the amount of aha moments I get by having these regular conversations of accountability with her blow my mind. I'll be talking about a problem or a situation, and the very answer that I need, the solution that I was looking for, is right there in front of me. And I get this blinding flash of the obvious, which I would not have had if it wasn't for having the conversation with her. So I want to talk to you about what happens and why we need accountability for any goal. And it doesn't matter if you're decided to start going back to the gym. It doesn't matter if you're looking for, you're taking up running, or you're starting a new habit of any type. Now, there's a whole lot of apps out there that, will be a habit tracker, etc. I can tell you from personal experience, I can stay on the habit tracker for 3 to 4 months, and then I fall off the wagon. And I really need that other person that holds me accountable, that holds my feet to the fire, that says, no, you're making excuses, come back to the table. Now, last year, with Ditch the Diet, Face the Feelings, I actually trialed an accountability program. Rather than having a weekly coaching call, I did 3 calls each week of 20 minutes. And what was amazing to me was that for so many of the people that trialed it, it was way more effective than having 1 call a week. Why? Because in the typical diet culture where you're used to having weekly weigh-ins, you're used to having the weigh-in and then going off and doing whatever the hell you want. And then they come back, the last 3 or 4 days, and they do everything exactly as they have to in order to get that great weigh-in. But they're not actually making the fundamental changes. So when we had 3 calls a week of accountability, what happened was a pattern interrupt. There were no days off. Every call we had to deal with whatever had come up, whatever had surfaced. And it was eye-opening for me because I didn't consider what the power of accountability was. And it really, yes, I've used accountability all these years. I've had accountability in my life since 2018 on a really regular basis. I run book clubs on books that I know I want to finish reading, and I want to read in depth and read with other people, because then I know I'm going to finish the book and I'm going to delve into it deeply, which I wouldn't do if I just read it on my own. Okay. I won't do the work to that same level and that same depth if I don't have a group doing it with me, that we discuss it and what we've learned and what we've gotten out of it and how we're applying it in our life. It is a totally different thing to read the book and then discuss it with that kind of group than to just read the book. Okay. So the stats are pretty phenomenal if you look at them. Okay. If you have an actual plan or an idea or a goal, you've probably got about a 10% probability of finishing it. Okay. Hey, Camilo, how you doing? If you decide when you're going to do it. You've got a 50% probability of actually doing it. And if you plan how you're going to do it, you actually sit down and you go through the steps, you've got a 65% probability of actually taking it through to completion. But if you've got accountability, you've got somebody that you've committed to, I'm going to get this done, and they are willing to hold your feet to the fire and ask you regularly and consistently, how much headway have you made? You have a 95% probability of actually fulfilling that goal. So if you want better results, if you want to overcome all of your excuses and your procrastination and your fear and the challenges and the obstacles, your best bet is to find someone to be accountable to. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about fitness and health. It doesn't matter if what you're talking about is a personal habit change, okay? Perhaps you've decided you're going to make a lifestyle change, or you want to move house, or you want to have a certain savings goal. It's not about telling other people out there randomly that you're going to do it and that you have this goal. No, that's not what accountability is. Accountability is actually having a person or a small group of people that you've made a commitment to, very specifically, of what you're going to do. So what is accountability? Accountability is answerability. It's reporting, okay? And it reflects the responsibility that you're personally taking for your actions or your lack of action, okay? And the results or the outcomes that you get. And obviously, if your result is failure, then you're accountable for that. But more importantly, you're accountable for sitting back and going back to the drawing board and looking at what's gone wrong and what are you going to change. It's not something you do one-off. Accountability is not a one-off thing of, oh, I'm going to be accountable, and for 1 week I'm accountable. No, accountability is like a lifestyle choice. At the very least, it is for the life of the project or the goal. I find it works best for life. Now, I've had accountability groups and partners that are for specific things, like finishing a book with a book club. I've also had accountability, like I said, with Wendy, that's ongoing for the last 2.5 years. It's a completely different kind of relationship, but it is that constant lifestyle choice of an all-time way of living, of knowing that every week I'm going to get on the call no matter whether I've done it or not. Because if I haven't done it, she has permission to tell me, you're dragging your ass. Okay? Now, we all need accountability. Okay? One, when we have accountability, we actually get things done. And that action taking creates motivation. We get more motivated and have more self-confidence to do more when we've already taken action. And if you are at all a people pleaser like I am, you do not want to sit in that meeting and say, well, I messed up and I didn't do anything. Okay? And so each time you promise yourself or others that you're going to do something and you fulfill your word, you're creating that personal integrity. You're creating that authenticity of, I'm living in alignment and I'm taking action according to my word. What I promised I would do, I am getting done. Okay? And you need that kind of accountability that keeps you on the road. Okay? Because it's really easy to get sidetracked. So some of those sidetracked things might be our personal excuses, might be the monkey mind and the inner critic that just continually flood us with all the possible reasons why we're not getting something done. My biggest challenge is the shiny object syndrome, where something new comes up and I want to take off running, chasing it. And I'm going to do this now. Okay? But at the same time, I need an accountability buddy, because when I hit challenges and obstacles, And this might be the I don't know how to do this, or worse yet, it's the I don't even know what I don't know. And therefore, I'm way too scared to take any steps forward. Okay. And the procrastination and the fear set in, and I really just don't know what I'm doing. My accountability buddy usually is going to sit there and start questioning all of that, saying, is it true that you really don't know what the next right step forward is? And more often than not, I know what the next one step forward is. I just don't know what the next 4 or 5 steps forward are. And so I'm not doing that next one step forward because I'm looking too far ahead. And the moment she brings me back down to earth and into the present moment, I actually take care of the problem and do what needs to be done. Okay? So we all have excuses. Who's questioning your excuses? Okay? We all have that monkey mind, that scatterbrain, that inner critic that tells us you are never going to be good enough, and you get emotionally overwhelmed. And for me, Wendy's usually, well, wait a minute, what is the one thing you're working on? Come back, simplify it, prioritize, bring it back down, and focus. What's the one thing this week you absolutely have to get done? And that's what saves me from the shiny object syndrome. Okay. I can tell you 2 numbers: how many blog posts I started versus how many blog posts I finished. And obviously, the number that matters is how many are finished and published and out there, not how many are started. Because it doesn't matter how interesting a topic is. It doesn't matter how much it's trending. If I don't finish it and get it out there and get it done, there's no results. Okay? And so we look at all of these challenges, okay? And they're always going to be there. There are always going to be challenges and obstacles. But your accountability buddy is going to sit there and go, well, what's the road forward? What do you need help on? Who are you going to ask for help? What kind of help do you need? Do you need resources? Do you need know-how? Do you need skills? Do you need to ask someone for help? Do you just need to outsource this and not do it at all? Okay. And your procrastination and fear, they're going to look at and say, well, is this real? I can get caught up in overthinking and do nothing because I'm so overwhelmed in my thoughts of nothing actually that is real. So who are you accountable to? When it comes to accountability, have you actually sat down and looked at all the things in your life and said, well, in these areas of my life, I'm accountable to these people. So for example, that might be your family. That might be friends. That might be professional. It might be in work, in your team. Or you might have accountability in your community for a project you're working on. Who are you accountable to? And the other question, of course, is what are you accountable for? Because there's no point in being accountable to if you don't know what you're accountable for. What are those things that you are taking responsibility for personally? Okay? So, as I've already said, if you want to create accountability, you might choose an accountability buddy or peer. Okay? That works great for something like getting a running partner that's at more or less the same level as you are, and you advance together. The other thing, of course, is that you might get an accountability peer or partner for a new project you're working on. Maybe they're in a different business area, but they're facing the same sorts of struggles and challenges as you are. So for example, there was one moment in time where I was building a new website, and I had as an accountability buddy another friend that was setting up their business. It was totally different from mine, except that they were also setting up their website. And we kept each other on track doing the whole website building. So every week we'd come together and say, okay, where are you at? What are you doing? And accountability might be that you check in person or on Zoom. It might be as simple as daily messaging or texting, okay? And another one of my favorites is something like Marco Polo, where you leave each other video messages where I drop a video in and then they respond with a video at their convenience after they've seen my video. And it doesn't have that time limit, like, for example, Messenger of it. Oh, it can only be a minute long. It gives you the ability to leave a message for, 5 minutes or 10 minutes if you absolutely needed to, or 30 seconds. But there's not a limit of how long that video can be. Okay. The question is what behavior are you focusing on this week? Now, obviously, all behavior is tending and aimed at results. But with an accountability buddy, it's actually way more important to focus on the behavior, the actual daily habits. What am I doing? Obviously, aiming towards those results. But if there is no doing, there are no results. Okay? And sometimes, for better or for worse, you need a coach or a mentor. Okay? And there's all kinds of different kinds of coaches out there, depending on what you're looking to get coached on and what kind of accountability. Now, some coaches are literally accountability coaches. They help you stick to the process of establishing the goal and then working your way through it. Others might be like a professional or a career coach, a skills coach. You might get performance coaching. Or you might simply get a life coach or for personal change and development that is going to work through the process of the change in your life, as opposed to a specific performance metric that you're looking for. No matter what you choose, no matter what it is you are looking to improve on, you need accountability. And so, to summarize, okay, what are you responsible for? Who are you accountable to? And how can you better focus on the process, the patterns, the habits that are going to create the results that you're looking for? Your results are going to come, as I've said, from the doing, not from visualizing and having a plan, not from your goal setting, not from even your mindset, but actually doing, especially if the going gets tough. And the best way that you are going to achieve this is having someone in your life that's going to keep you on track throughout the entire process from start to finish. And how you choose to do that, well, that depends entirely on you. So I hope that you found this useful. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will come back and answer them. Thank you and good afternoon.